Right, looks like I'm live. Let's adjust the camera. I kind of wish, okay, that should be about right. I kind of wish that it would give me a preview and I could adjust the camera before the live starts, but all right. So we are, I'm usually during the week, I'm over at my room for rent, and today I'm in a different place, and so I think my internet is a little better. I can stream this HD camera content, I believe. If we're getting laggy video, please let me know, and I can switch back over like we did the other day. So just starting a live stream here for today, the 5th day of the Lather Games, June 2021. And this is Sugar Daddy Shaves, and let's show the gear. And every once in a while, people will filter in, and this is a daytime shave starting at almost 6:30 Eastern time. And so we may get a different crowd than when I start at 11:30 at night, right? Today is the first Saturday of the Lather Games, and on each of the Saturdays, we're giving priority to a special vendor that is related to the wet shaving subreddit, somebody who's just supremely active or very popular, that sort of thing. And the first one is Barrister and Mann. Later on in the month will be Mammoth soaps. House of Mammoth is what they're called now. And then Declaration Grooming on, I think is the one in 7 days here. And so today it's Barrister and Mann, and that is cool because they just make will just make some of the best soaps out there. The scents that he puts together are creative. And even when he reinvents scents that have been around for a while, like that Reserve line that he did, he does it really well and makes it very enjoyable. And so I picked some of my favorite gear, or some gear that I just really enjoyed. And let's look at that. Whenever it comes to, man, that light is being very glary. Whenever it comes to picking a Barrister and Mann soap, Diamond is always on my mind. I just find this scent supremely interesting. The dirt, the soil, the caramel, a little hint of beer, but I don't know. I just totally enjoy it. This is the Glissant base. It does not have that little fancy E next to the diamond on the bottom of the tub, and so we know it's the Glissant base. And I have used this maybe in the last 6 months or 4 months, something like that. And with the software, I was able to go full tilt Barrister and Mann this time. I do have several Barrister and Mann splash type products, and again, that glare. If I move it up closer, does that change the? No, I'm afraid it's pretty tricky. So this is Seville, and it's a used one that I got, and but it's got plenty left in it to enjoy. This is the one that came with kind of the Glissant version. It's not the Reserve Seville, but they both smell great. And then this is where did it go? This is a fragrance sample of Just Right for a Tuesday. I got this as a sample probably for ordering a Barrister and Mann soap, and this came as a sample. I tried it once or twice, and it didn't really jump out at me as something that I would enjoy, and so I've just had it sitting on my desk for maybe 2 years. That's just the way I am. Harvey, welcome. KG, hello, from New York City. Very cool. Good to have you guys along. And so that's the software, full tilt Barrister and Mann today to honor them and all the good things that Will does for us in our community at Wet Shaving Subreddit. Now the hardware is, since I'm using a maker that I enjoy so much, I'm using this, one of my all-time favorite razors. And here's the good news. I like this just about as much as I do my Timeless, my Wolfman, my both the stainless and the titanium timeless. even, just as much as my carve, and it cost a lot less than all of them. This is a United Kingdom version, Gillette vintage flat bottom tech. How about that? And so I like to shave from it just as good, pretty much, as any of those other expensive razors. And so if you're looking for a great feel with just a premium quality feeling shave without that huge price tag, and these vintage UK Gillettes are just made so well. The plating, the metal work is just tremendous, and there's a reason why these look so great even after decades and decades. It's because they were made so well. This particular one is, of course, the three-piece design, and you can recognize, if you're very familiar with the text, you can recognize this bar handle design, where it has the pleating, the ridges up here, vertical ridges, and then down here the ridges take on some knurling. And it's a hollow handle, but this is thinner than the normal one that comes with the regular text. While we're here, I got the Nasset, and then today I did an etching with it. I wonder if you could see. Oh, you know what? I think I have to fiddle. One trouble about using this camera is I wish I could pause you and then I could focus it. Anyway, I don't want you to have to go through that, right? This is my Nasset that has had so many uses, and today is use 382, and we're going to put it in the tech. I'll put it down so I don't drop anything. So the base plate on this tech has a nice flat bottom. The American techs have a diamond bevel shape that extrudes from the bottom and is like a valley here. And so that's why we call this the flat bottom tech. It has these slots here for these rails in the top cap to go into. And because of that precision, you end up with a blade that never needs to be adjusted, that is always aligned properly. Oh, but the main thing is that this is one of those models that has the 4 posts on the corners of the top cap, and that's mainly what keeps the blade in perfect alignment. Of course, this is the universal, and so you can, the bolt there, so you can use the metric ones or the 11/32 or whatever that measure, 10/32 or whatever handles to put if you find a flat bottom tech, and they're not too hard to find. I think sometimes you might pay $60 or $70 for one because they are rare and they shave so well, and our community in general knows that they shave really well. Just and when I say really well, for me that means smoothly, very comfortably, but when I'm at the end of my shave, the cut, the closeness is terrific. And so to get that result at the end, sometimes people have to go for razors that may give them a little bit more aggressive feeling, but not so with this design that they've done. It's smooth and cuts well at the same time, and for me, that's what makes it such a wonderful razor. All right, put this over there. And okay, the razor is loaded up. My brush today is the Shave Market. Yeah, the Shave Market 5th anniversary brush. Obviously, it was some kind of group buy. And this is a High Mountain White from Elite, I believe. And it's got a Leo Furlow handle, which is really done well. Obviously, he does quality work. And so it's had plenty. It's the High Mountain White, so you don't have to soak the tips for as long. You could. Some people just run their badgers underwater for a little bit before the shave. I feel better about soaking them for at least like 3 minutes or so. But suit yourself. It holds a lot of water, so let's shake that out. Keith, welcome. Keto. Oh man, yeah, KG, the UK techs. it's one of those things where if I ever see one online, and historically, if I see one online and I don't have it, I buy it because I just haven't run into a bad one at all. As a matter of fact, they're usually better than their American counterparts. Let's do a 30-second load today. And now on my screen, the resolution here, like the soap is very bright. My arm right there is bright, and I don't really see any. It's kind of flushed out where I don't really see any definition. Can you guys please report in? Is that bright to you as well? Is that maybe I need to close the blinds so that the man, this brush is holding tons of water, it turns out. Is it flushed out because it's so bright? Please let me know in the chat. And right there is 30 seconds. And I know that there was a ton of water in this brush because it just overflowed much more than it usually does. So let's just see if that's going to end up to be enough water, enough soap in the brush. I'm going to rinse out the tub. Okay. Jay says it's a little bright. I think maybe if my background weren't quite so... Oh, it's just a contrast. That's what it is, because I've got the sun. Actually, the sun is kind of shining on me. Let's see what we can do about that. Okay. I'll bet that. Oh, and plus I've got the lights. I mean, the lights are just right up there. Hopefully, yeah, I think that's probably a little better because you definitely don't have the brightness on me. Gotcha. Okay, thank you, KG. Okay, I'm glad you can still see everything. Okay, not a big deal. Roger that. Okay, thank you, Keith, as well. Okay, I think we're in a better situation now. Oh, man, why do I like this diamond so much? I'm sorry, I just don't know. Hey, there's a bald spot cam. Wow, I am losing hair. That's hilarious. Okay, I'm going to take my 40 milliliter jigger. Fill it up. I looked at my past data for this soap, and 25 seconds is probably a good load time in general for me for this soap with the lightly wet brushes that I usually bring to it. But since I'm having to do more passes because it's an old blade, I went ahead and went with a full 30 seconds. Most reports were 5 or 6 passes of lather with a 30-second load. And in general, it looked like about 4 teaspoons of water. So that's the general ballpark there. I do have life going on today. My kids are out playing. So if somebody skins their knee or something like that, I may have to deal with the problem, right? So if we have to cut it short, we will. I've been up late this week getting my posts in for the Lather games just at the last minute. And I was wanting to maybe shave a little earlier if I could, to give myself a little bit more time. With just a little bit of water, you guys can see, if I back away from the camera, yeah, it just looks real. Oh, okay, there we go. If I make it so that the lather takes up all the camera, then it doesn't quite flush out as much. Maybe I should wear a white shirt. Or maybe diffuse the lights a little bit somehow. See, Zachary is ahead of me. He mentioned putting some wax paper on the light source, and that'll help soften it up, cut down on the highlights, yeah? Oh man, Glissant, I think I like Glissant better than Excelsior, and I know I like it better than Reserve. Glissant was the base when I jumped into this kind of shaving and found other soaps. I had actually shaved with DEs for maybe a year or a year and a half before I realized there was this huge soap market out there. I just saw the Vanderhagen kit at Walmart. I bought it and I went through that soap. I used up the whole soap and it was time to replenish the soap. And so I decided to, I looked at the Vanderhagen soap refill and I thought, man, this is a little expensive for just a soap. And so I tried out Irish Spring as a bar of soap and I used a lot of that. And what's really funny is that if I would have kept with just using the Vanderhagen pucks over the years, I probably would have saved a good bit of money, but it was because I thought I could do better that I found Amazon and found this whole world of shaving soaps. Jay, it varies. I try to get to bed at midnight or 1 o'clock because I just have so much of a better day the next day. But so often I have stuff to do until 2 a.m. or worst case 3 a.m. and just kind of suffer the next day. If it's a weekend, I'll take a nap, to help out. But if I'm living right, then I try to get to bed at midnight. KG, yes, sir. Using up the whole soap. Those were the days. And there are plenty of guys out there who do take that. They don't buy another soap until they've used one up, and all the better for them. Put some water on my face. I forgot to do that before working up the lather, but fortunately the face does get wet pretty quick. It does take a second for the skin to get all hydrated, but we'll just spend a few minutes working the lather in. But yeah, in the early days, I think many of us, got a soap from the store and used it up. And when it was done, you went and bought another one. I think about a lot the several older guys online who they remarked that Christmas was when they were allowed to get a puck of Old Spice soap, and they would put that in their mug and use that until it was gone, and then it was something more like Williams for the rest of the year until Christmas rolled around again. Haha. Zachary also used to shave with just Irish Spring. It'll get the job done. It's not nearly as creamy as some other choices. And look, we've got a really wet lather today. I think maybe I didn't squeeze out my goatee, or maybe there was some water in the brush that I didn't really account for. So this one's a little bit flushed out. Now there is a nice easy fix when that happens. Now here's the good news. We're still laying down a nice layer of slickness, and so even if you choose not to do anything, you'll still get a fine shave. But what I like to do is try to find my puck of diamond here, and we can just go in it for just a couple of seconds like that, and then take that richness on those tips to my face, and it'll thicken. If you just go for a few seconds, I find that many times you don't have to put water back on your face. But if you go back to the tub for 10 seconds or so, then you often need to bring back some water. And as you can see, it's thickening up. You can see it build up around my goatee. One of the things I like about these high mountain white knots, in a few of the different makers that I've tried Sterling, I've tried Umo, and this Elite. My favorites are the Sterling and the Elite. The Umo's not as soft on the tips, but they generally aren't treated, kind of like the silver, like the two bands are. They don't gel usually. Yeah, there we go. That's a good looking lather right there. And so it's silver tips. Sometimes people don't like them because they are a little floppy, but then you have the two bands, which have more backbone, but those gel soft tips in some cases. And the high mountain white kind of sits right between those two. It's got a little bit more firmness of backbone than the silver tips, but the tips are not. It's better for people who don't like those spongy tips of the two bands and who may think that backbone is just a little bit too much for them. So I think I'd recommend trying out a high mountain white. The Envies are kind of pricey. I don't think Sterling's is as pricey, so that might be a good one to look at. And like I said, the Umo was a good price, but the tips aren't as soft, at least with the one I'm trying out. It's possible the tips could soften with a little bit of time because it is a new brush that I just purchased in the last several months. Yeah, I think many people, Vanderhagen was their first shaving soap. Which clone would you say is closest to the old Schulten? I'm not a good one to answer that. I was just a kid back when the Old Spice was real old, and I'm not sure. I think people are saying that Will did a great job of capturing it with the Reserve Spice soap from Barrister and Mann, and so I'd recommend doing research into that one. I do know that the Seaforth from Spearhead Shaving that was released, called Spiced, is similar. It's in the same family, but it's not intended to be a duplication. It's intended to be a fresh interpretation, and often I see those fresh interpretations as going some weird way, and this one does not. I really enjoy Seaforth Spiced quite a bit. Best answer I think I can give you, other than just checking out and doing some research on some forums and asking that same question around. Yeah, Keith used Vanderhagen at first too. You think cold water is better for blade retention? That's a really good question. And I use lukewarm water. However, it comes out of the tap, and so that does end up to be quite cold water if I'm in the winter. Now, what I believe is that is, and what we're getting right now, folks, is a pretty comfortable stroke here. And that's kind of remarkable for such an old blade. Just a light, tuggy feeling. It is tugginess to where a person who is used to stopping after about 5 shaves is going to, get a little antsy. But it's still, fairly comfortable. I mean, why not switch blades if you want to, right? No reason you should have anything less than a perfect shave if that's what you want, So I'm not saying you should keep going further. I'm just saying for this blade, I'm curious, and so I'm choosing to keep going further. But with the heat, if you have your blade in hot water and then it cools down while it's sitting on the counter and then you put it back in hot, I wouldn't be surprised if that did a little something to the edge of the blade. Just speaking in terms of adding, expanding and contracting, I don't know if it actually does anything. And so that's just my best educated guess. Yeah, KG, I believe I interpreted that as edge retaining keenness. Yeah. I also like sterling spice. I don't think most people consider it to be ultra close to the Shulton formula. I think what happens in those cases, see, you know, Rod or any of the soapers can send an existing cologne to a chemical laboratory who can analyze it and tell you the exact formulation of what elements are in it. And so it's possible then to have the exact recipe. But I believe what goes on is that they may discover, Sterling may look at the ingredients list and say, oh, well, here's that one right there, but that costs way too much to purchase. And that's not the price point where we're going to need our soap to be. And so then they'll make some alterations. And this is an assumption on my part. So they'll make some alterations, and so the scent might depart a little bit from its original intention, but it's close enough to be enjoyed by many people. I do like sterling spice quite a bit. All right, that first pass went off nicely. Let's switch now to cross grain. So today is the 5th. And in the lather games, the surprise challenge for today surprised me for sure. It is Sugar Daddy Day, appreciation kind of thing. The challenge is in my honor, and I really appreciate that. I am indeed honored. A lot of people have said some really nice things, and my goal here and my personality is to help folks, and it's really cool to see that I'm doing that as best I can, and people are being helped by, you know, some of my videos and me answering questions that they might pose online and things like that, and that's really quite a blessing for me. And you are breaking things on Reddit there. He took my format post most of my shave of the days on, and then he put his own data into that same format. So from a distance, it looks like one of my posts. So well done on his part, right? And rinse. And the other part of the challenge was to do a den tour video. So if you want to see what a lot of people's dens look like, their inventory in general, go to the wet shaving subreddit for today and look for the Lather Games post for June 5th, 2021, in case you're viewing this in future years. And scroll down through the people's posts, and you'll be able to see what some of them have done with their dens. Some of them are beautiful and nice to look at, and they have razors aligned on the shelf, and they have soap arranged artfully. Some of them are hoarders, more like me, and it's just all stuffed in crates or boxes or a shelf just with from top to bottom with stacks of soap, you know. And so you'll see all manner. You know, some people have smaller dens, smaller selections where it's just choice gear that they love the most, and some people just have much larger collections. And I think it's really cool that there's room in shaving for all of us, the hoarders and the people who like to keep it with just one soap until it's done, or one soap and a backup, and then when that's done, you start using the backup and you find another one to bring in, you know. And there's pros and cons to each style, and I really like seeing other people's what other people have done, especially when it's some type of creative type thing. Like one time, what was it? Somebody turned up a CD organizer, and it was the kind that had maybe two vertical boards, and then it had rods between where you would put your compact discs, and they would sit on two rods, and there were two rods down here for the next shelf and two rods, so it wasn't planks for shelves. And they were taking their soap tubs and putting them vertically like you would a CD-ROM, and so all the soaps were sideways, and it was very efficient, and it was something already in existence, probably a piece of furniture, maybe heading to the junkyard or the trash heap, if it didn't get repurposed into a shaving soap holder. And let's see. Oh yeah, nice residual slickness here. This is just a good soap. How much water did I use up in the initial mix? 20 milliliters. So yeah, 4 teaspoons. But I'm starting to get a little bit low, so we'll see what happens. Now it is still a little bit wet, and so what we can do is step back into our puck here, a couple of seconds, and see if that. I may not have rinsed my face after that. Put a little water back in. Do it. We'll do it cadenza style, Michael Friedberg style, dribbling water droplets. Mongo, welcome. Californian joining us. Speaking of Californians, I really enjoy on Saturday Night Live the bit they do with the Californians. I just find that hilarious. Now you probably get many of almost every joke that they're putting out there, where I probably miss a good bit of it, but the melodrama and how they always switch to the traffic. Oh, you could take the 401 to the 85, and then that kind of thing. I just think that's hilarious. So what is this? Is this the third pass or the fourth pass? I think it might be the third. One of the guys today, as he was being so kind to appreciate some things I bring to the shaving world, he was saying that sometimes he misses and laments the fact that my passes, like starting right now, they don't take very long. I've got all this talk about the razors and soaps and brushes, and I mix up the lather, and you might be able to add up how much shaving time I'm actually doing, and it's less time than actually mixing up the lather. Who knows? But my razors just move so fast. I've got this nice slick lather usually, and so I thought about replying to him and saying, well, I guess I could start using lathers that were not as slick. Michael Friedberg himself joined in, and I really appreciate his kind words. He said many nice things, and he also said he's because we got to talk at one of the shave meetups, and he said I'm a little bit I don't know whether he said off the wall or something like that, and he said that was a plus in his book, and I appreciate that. I definitely enjoy the serious interactions we've had, as well as the just jousting at each other, because he's a face latherer, I'm a bowl latherer. He likes to have the blade end tabs covered up, and I like to tease him about that because I don't care. I tease him about his sensitive ears, and it's all in good fun. And it's great when you have somebody who can reply in good fun, and it continues that way, and nobody gets their feelings hurt. Yeah, Keith is talking about the elaborate displays of some guys. You know what? Now that's a good point, Keith. If you guys have spouses who complain about your amount of, if you have 10 soaps or 15 soaps and maybe 5 brushes, maybe you need to go to that thread and save some photos of these guys' setups and then show them to her when it's got when a guy's got 50 soaps and that sort of thing. Do a rinse now. Sorry, it's taking me a little bit longer to read up on you guys because the computer is at a different angle. It's farther away and a little harder to read. Tono-sama, if I'm reading correctly, greetings from Jintono. Huya Motivator. Okay, there we go. Welcome, sir. Oh, you know what, Jay? I agree in a sense. I sure did enjoy Friedberg's videos. He did take a hiatus, but I'm also glad he took a hiatus because he was putting out some really good content. He was editing his videos. And, when you do it for long enough, like he did, you can get a little burnt out about it. And so right now he's switched to where he's making videos at a pace that he's really happy with. And of course, we all want the best for him. But yeah, his frequency of videos is surely missed. Plus, he was wanting to give things a good evaluation. And so he was using the same product for several days for that purpose. And he ended up with a lot, he said, of stuff unused because he never got around to it. So now he's able to get back in and play around with different things. And so I'm glad for him because of that. Mongo, well said. End tabs keep you alert. That's good stuff right there. Now my face is feeling nicely, I'm very happy, nicely shaven here, close. Now let's, we still have a little shadow over here, so let's do that against the grain, and I'm going to have just enough lather to do the job. Now, obviously, for me, attributing Sugar Daddy as a daily challenge might be a little awkward. And so I think on my write-up, I might try to look at some of my own inspirations, because after all, a lot of people have mentioned that I'm knowledgeable, and I do try to absorb information and study it instead of just doing a shave. And here's the thing: where did I get that information? Almost always, it's from somebody else. And so I'm just passing on wisdom that I myself have gathered up. And so I think I'll find a way in my write-up to kind of articulate that. In the beginning, I learned a lot from Michael Friedberg. I watched his wet shaving tutorial. It's a 4-part series that I still highly recommend. I watched a lot of Mantic 59's videos, and while he and I do things differently a little bit, I think he's got a good handle on addressing a lot of issues well. As for my particular cadence and relaxed style of video, a couple of guys have referred to me as the Bob Ross of wet shaving, and that's kind of what I intend to be, a relaxing place, what I try to be. And one person actually, during the kind of height of COVID, actually sent me a message and said that it was calming in the stressful times that he was facing. It was calming to have my shaves on regularly, and I'm really grateful and glad I could be of help there. But who inspired that part? Who let me know that my shaves, my videos could be that way? That is Mark at Friendship Shaving. I watched his, and you just feel a sense of calm, and he knows what he's talking about. He takes his time, and so his words are well chosen, and that was enlightening for me. And so while I'm not as I don't want to say slow, but as purposeful, as casual as he is. I'm much more casual than a lot of the other guys out there, and I'm very grateful for his style. It helped me a lot to kind of develop my own. Well, there we go. Here we are at the end. Why not? Why don't we try? Because this is a razor that I really enjoy. Let's try it against the grain pass and see how it handles it with the Nasset at 382 uses. Careful about tugging. Oh, hey, let's get some of these stragglers down there. There we go. Now, it seems to me I do less damage if I do shorter strokes. Play around if you do against the grain yourself, and many people can just, I watch them. Most of those other wet tube shavers out there, they do against the grain passes, and it looks like they're doing any old normal pass. Whereas for me, it's quite stressful. So I often skip it. KG, how long have I had the goatee? 2000, before 2000, 95. I had a full beard in 95, though it was fairly scraggly. I was in the military, so obviously I had to shave the military. But then around 95 or so, I let my beard grow out just a little bit. It was a little splotchy in places. And then maybe I probably switched to a goatee in the late 90s. And so I've had a goatee since the late 90s. So it was definitely before goatees were a little bit more popular, like they are now, or like they were 10 years ago, or whatever. So yeah, late 90s, had the goatee. Jay says, if you shaved like Michael Friedberg, I'd be red. Yeah. Jay, is that because like the against the grain is a little rough for you? Is that what it is? KG, keyword takes his time. That's what I like about friendship shaving. Yeah. Yep. And that's just fine. You know, if somebody is in a rush, don't watch his channel. You know, don't gripe about it. Just tune into somebody else. And if you want to see a guy take his time and enjoy his shaves and enjoy communicating with you guys, then Market Friendship Shaving is a great one to check out. And he also is nice because he's on the other side of the pond, and so he's going to have a kind of different gear on the European slant than I do over here. Mongo says Ken surfs. Mongo, I understand. There are so many shavers like Ken and other guys who like their lathers drier than I do, and I think maybe you do too. And so I feel like my face would be all red and roughed up because of that lather that to me just needs some more slickness to it. Yeah, I understand that. I very often look and say, no, don't shave with that yet. Refined Edge, welcome. Hey, man. This is like a morning shave for me, actually. That's right. Okay, so we did an against the grain. Let's take a look at it. Oh, that's nice. The Nasset is still keeping up. And here's the thing. With you, my skin can't handle an against the grain shave usually. And so if you've got the technique that I have and the wet lathers that I have, maybe you can make a Nasset take this long. And if you can handle against the grain shaving, then it's a piece of cake for you at this point. You know, so in a way, if my against the grain is a little tuggy, I don't mind proceeding forward. I don't want to endure, high degree of uncomfortableness for very long with this blade. I'm not a glutton for punishment. But on the other hand, there are guys who can easily shave with more aggressive razors than I can. And so we'll just keep on going with it, especially when I didn't really get very much irritation at all. Face feels pretty good right there. So let us get a good rinse here. Refined edge. Now you said you were going to jump in and maybe do some lather games. Have you been able to do that yet? Yeah, 382 on the Nasset. Keith has been one of the ones that's been with me from, I think, from the beginning with the Nasset. He's been around for a while, and he's on a couple of other forums too, and I enjoy his conversations. And he might have been around for that 2018 fall, or in August 2018, where I started this blade. Jay tried out a Nasset the other day, and it felt rough compared to his usual. Those personas are pretty good too. Yeah. Well, and that's okay. See, that's the thing. Blades are so subjective. I've had people reply back that Nassets are great. They're like as sharp as feathers, but they stay smoother longer and more comfortable longer, And I've had other people say they're a little bit kind of like Jay didn't have a great experience with his. So it's all about trying a whole bunch of them and finding your favorites, right? And I've always said that the Nasset isn't a special blade. It's not like this is the one if you want to try to get 100 uses. I've got a Marathon Blades page on my Sugar Daddy Shaves website, sugardaddy.shaves.com, and I list all the razor blades that I have reliable reports on that people have taken to 100, and there's a lot of them. There's a good many. All the popular ones that people use, they've been taken that far. Keith, you're welcome. I appreciate that. Oh, okay. Oh, maybe it's micros, refined edge. Yeah, I'm sorry. I think maybe it's micros who was is my guess as to who might be trying to jump into the lather games. Roger that. Maybe next year. Yeah, if you join Reddit, just lurk, just watch and read, and you'll get the hang of it, no problem. Now, hey, here's something on Reddit. Okay, listen, if you guys want to get on Reddit, we have PIFs, pay it forwards, where people can want to give away something, and so they'll start a PIF. Now, many times they have a certain amount of points. On Reddit, it's called karma, that you need to have to be able to compete, to be able to kind of enter to win the lottery, if you will. And that's just so that somebody brand new doesn't come in and for the purpose of trying to get free stuff. And if you build up karma, then that means you've been around the sub for a while. You've contributed, that sort of thing. And so I think it's a good system. Now on Reddit, a great way to build up karma, if you're curious, is just simply to take and go into, on the wet shaving subreddit, you can go into the shave of the day thread. Every day there'll be a new one. It's usually posted at about 2 a.m. or so. Go into the shave of the day thread and just post what you shaved with that day. You can go to trythatsoap.com, and it's got an automated thing that you can use it to fill out a template, that you can then post to that thread. It makes it very easy to select from you can add your inventory into that website, or you can just type it out yourself in bullet points. Put an asterisk in front of each line and put like soap was Barrister and Mann Diamond, post shave was, and we'll move to that now, Barrister and Mann Seville. And then you could list a cologne, you could list what kind of brush you used, and you can even let that be it. And people will look at that and read, and then they'll give you a karma point or two. And if you do that every day, you're starting to build up karma without really having to do too much. And then eventually you might hit a shave where you use something somebody's curious about. So they may ask you a question. Hey, how was that Canadian tech? Do you really like that? So you can respond back and say, yeah, I really did. And so then you might get a point there with karma. And it's a way to start conversations without even trying. And so if you're interested in getting started on Reddit, then you can do it that way. And then you can build up karma. It won't take you very long to have enough karma to be able to participate in some of those giveaways. But that's really the only real need for karma that I can see so far. Seville is just such a magical barbershop. Oh man, that is so good. I guarantee you tons of people are using Seville today in the lather games because it's Barrister and Mann Day. and I just so missed the diamond that I had to use it. But Seville is just marvelous. What a great creation. Oh, also, if you do your shave of the day and you post it on Reddit, you can also just write a paragraph underneath about how your shave went. You know, yeah, it was great. I was able to get baby butt smooth, or just a quick shave today. Got to head off to do a special project, or you could say, man, this scent really hits me home, or just trying to kill this tub. You can do comments like that, and sometimes those resonate with other people who might be in the same position, and so conversations can get started. Especially if you post in the beginning part of the day, give enough time for people to read your stuff. If you post at the end of the day, not as many people are going to be reading it. And so it's a great way to get to know people and to build up your kind of Reddit awareness without having to really participate too much in other areas. It's always good to lurk, learn the rules, that kind of thing. Like if you, on the wet shaving subreddit, the main area, you can post questions there, but it's discouraged unless it's a huge question that involves lots of discussion. In general, you want to post your questions on the daily thread. So you'll have a shave of the day thread every day that the AutoMod posts. You'll also have a daily questions thread, and that's so that the smaller questions can get asked in a place that doesn't clog up the big thread. Common things that people ask a lot, you know, why does my lather dissipate? Or I'm having trouble lathering with this brush that I bought off eBay for $3. You know, and how's my technique? I'm getting irritation. How can I, you know, all those kind of questions can be answered in the daily threads. And so that's a great place to browse if you've been shaving for a while. If you're new to Reddit, browse those daily threads and look for questions that you can answer, ways to help folks. That's another great way to build up karma and just establish yourself as a positive force in the community. And on Reddit, big thing is don't use downvotes to disagree. Downvotes mean you can upvote or downvote every post until after about a 6-month period. But downvotes just means this is not helping the sub out. It's irrelevant, or maybe a person's gotten overly rude or something like that. It's not a disagree button. You know, a lot of times I'll upvote something for somebody who has an opposite opinion than I do, because they're being constructive. It's a constructive argument that people are having. They're stating their case with positive words, and we just happen to disagree. And so I'll upvote that because they're helping out the community, because somebody else is going to agree with them. You know, it's all good. But yeah, do you have to be on the forums? No, just enjoy shaving. That's the whole point, right? Pedro Carvalho, he's got a straight razor routine, almost surgical. Oh, okay. That's a name that I haven't heard yet. I'm not as big into straights. I've only had a few of those shaves. Good to know for you straight razor users out there. Yeah. Refined Edge also is a big fan of Seville. Oh yeah, Sterling Barbershop. Holy cow, that one's a good one. If you want one with kind of spicy, leathery, is how I interpret the scent, and I really enjoy the Sterling Barbershop that they have. I don't really do too much with Phoenix Artisan Accoutrements. And he's the guy that did the CAD. Do any straight razors? Oh, okay. I've got a playlist for straight razor shaves, and you can probably see the few that I've done. And it's from the perspective of a new user, that's for sure. I did seem to take on to it pretty easy. If you are interested in getting into straights, I understand that one of the good ways to do it is to just do your cheeks with a straight, because that's the easiest area of the face to get to and do properly and not hurt yourself on. The neck just has some weird places on it, right? So use a normal razor for your neck. Use the straight for your cheeks until you get used to holding the razor, that sort of thing. You get a really nice slick lather when you do that. And that's what I did at first, and it worked really well. I felt so good on my cheeks that every time I went ahead and did my neck anyway. But I did watch a lot of videos. Lynn Abrams, Geo Fat Boy has some good straight razor videos. I often feel like he's pushing his products on me, and so I lately haven't gravitated toward his videos very much. There are definitely some straight razor guys out there. I don't know as many offhand. Peter, late again. See, Peter's on the other end of the world. Peter Cook is over in southern China, and so it's a little harder for him to jump in on these ones that start in kind of the middle of the day. Welcome, though. Oh, Mr. Fine, fresh vetiver. Oh, I think Tono-sama, you and I must have similar tastes, because if you like Sterling Barbershop and Seville and Fine Fresh Vetiver, those are some of my favorites as well. That Fine Fresh Vetiver is the Tom Ford Gray Vetiver scent, and Sterling did it in the Responders for Life limited release that they did, and then you can get it with fine accoutrements. And yeah, boy, that is such a good wearable scent, easy going. I really like that one. And of course, those classic pucks perform so well. Oh, good. I'm glad Tono-sama saw that I published a video about those pucks getting discontinued, and he was able to pick some up before they left. I did review the cream, the Crope that Fine switched to. I got the Latigo version of that, the Latigo scent in that, and it's a good performing cream. It's not wasteful in that you don't have to use a ton of product to get a good shave, but it's not close. It's not as close in performance to the those classic pucks, and it's quite expensive compared to even great people like Noble Otter and Barrister and Mann and Declaration Grooming. All those guys have cheaper soaps. It is a little bit more in quantity, but still it's still cheaper, still more expensive per ounce. And so I usually, the new stuff, the new Crope that he's putting out, I think he calls it the 21st century formula or whatever, I advise you to, sure, if you can't find that scent anywhere else, then yeah, get it, enjoy it, because it'll probably last you a good long time anyway. But it'll be a little bit more pricey than many other options. But Platinum is the Crope, and that's an Aventus clone, and so many people are making Aventus clones that you can find it cheaper with about the same performance with other vendors. But yeah, that fresh vetiver is amazing, and very few people are doing that fresh vetiver, that Tom Ford's gray vetiver scent. Very few are, so you don't have a lot of choices if you love that scent like I do. 7:15 a.m. Yes, it's early. Plus 12. Roger that. Okay, Tono-sama. That's when he saw that video about the fine. That's when he joined and subscribed to my channel. Well, I'm glad to help, man. All right. Well, I think we'll wrap this up. Oh, hey. Yes. So just the 20 milliliters of water there, and 30 seconds of loading. In retrospect, maybe since I hadn't used that soap in a while, oh, you know what? I bet it was. I normally don't have as much water on my brush when I load. Sometimes too much water on your brush can inhibit the pickup of the soap into your brush. Maybe it acts as a lubricant instead of the bristles picking it up. I usually come to the soap with a lightly wet brush. It's not wrung out. It's just most of it is shaken out. And that usually works out very well. And so that could have been the issue. Sometimes if you let soaps sit for a while, they develop a little bit of hardness on the top, and you have to load a little bit longer. That maybe could have been the issue. Oh, I'm enjoying this Seville. All right, well, I don't usually put on colognes, but the Lather games, you get an extra point if you do fragrances, frags every day. And so this is a sample of Just Right for a Tuesday. And let's read a little bit about it. This text is kind of small. Let's switch away from the glasses. Just Right for a Tuesday was conceived as a soft, smooth play on the central combination of lavender, violet, and licorice. Over time, and this is Will speaking, of course, I revised the concept to incorporate crisp green notes and spices, and decided to take the inspiration from the classic lush violet perfumes of the 1920s. See, Will's got such great reasoning and inspirations there. The name was inspired by a conversation, and I didn't know this until I finally got around to reading this. I think it's cool. The name was inspired by a conversation with one of our customers, during which he commented that while he generally enjoys our work, many of our fragrances are very dark and generally a bit much for a Tuesday, quote unquote. And so that's why this is called Just Right for a Tuesday. This is composed of the very finest materials, from salty white ambergris to the finest rose absolute to the softest, most elegant orris butter I could find. Eminently wearable, it's at home anywhere, and the perfect accent for when you want to project an aura of taste, refinement, and style. He did put a note list here as well. The opening notes: green fig, black pepper, lavender, and nutmeg. The heart notes: violet, iris, rose, and allspice. And the base: vetiver, benzoin, rose, ambergris tincture. So let's give this guy a shot. This is one I could have used on the theme day. I could use on the theme day maybe next week, where you're trying something again that you didn't like the first time. It's not something that jumped out at me right away. It's something I enjoyed. But let's see how it smells as I wear it throughout the day. We'll get this little tester going, do it on my wrist, and that way it kind of doesn't get in the way of my Seville, and I'll be able to really, we'll let the alcohol kind of burn off, and I'll smell it in just a minute. So the Seville is wonderful, and the diamond didn't really hang around, so there wasn't really any conflict between the diamond and the Seville for me. This is a great little razor for this blade at this age, so that's good too. Incorporating that against the grain pass is really given new life to the different razors I can use with this old blade. And as a reminder, I haven't yet flipped the blade over. I'm still using it on the first side. Let's catch up and see if I missed any comments. Oh, some of that, the green notes, maybe a little the vetiver. Yeah, a very precise, not maybe floral and green is combining. It's almost like I'm smelling an exact plant that has just been cut with a knife. And so the resins of the stalk there are right here on my nose. It's very interesting, very realistic. So I could see it being very enjoyable. How does fresh vetiver compare with Port-au-Prince? I have tried Port-au-Prince and fresh vetiver. They are very different because the Port-au-Prince is strong. The fresh vetiver is designed to be kind of low-key. The Port-au-Prince is in your face with a more intense vetiver note, Haitian vetiver, I believe, and it's I found the aftershave to be way too strong to really enjoy wearing, but I love the soap. I love the scent cloud that it puts around me as I enjoy the Port-au-Prince soap. It's also one of the soaps that is part of the mutton tallow for Sterling, and that soap base is phenomenal. It is the best value in terms of soap base per cost, in my opinion, in shaving, bar none, that mutton tallow base. But the Port-au-Prince is just very, very in your face. And it does calm down after a while, of course, but the fresh vetiver is more mild and low key. So hopefully that helps you. I have done reviews on both, and so you could look at those on my YouTube channel. Yeah, the Marlboro is another one that I really enjoy. It's got a little bit more meatiness and strength to it, and so I think it's not as mild as the fresh vetiver. but it's definitely not as strong as the Port-au-Prince. So it kind of maybe sits in the middle. I'm a big fan of D.R. Harris Marlboro. Man, Tono-sama, you brought up another one that I'm a huge fan of with the D.R. Harris, and that hard puck has got pretty good performance too. D.R. Harris is one of the few English soap makers that is still making their own hard soaps. Taylor of Old Bond Street, True Fit and Hill, and George F. Trumper. All of those guys have outsourced their hard soap making to somebody else, and so you're really kind of paying for the name. Yeah, Peter, I agree. The story of the perfumes or fragrances so often makes a big difference to me, and sometimes that story I can associate it with the fragrance, and so it gives meaning and substance to it, where I may not have been able to pull that out before. And so I always appreciate that kind of story. You know what? I tried this initially without knowing very much about the Just Right for a Tuesday. I don't think I see it around very much on the forums and on the SOTDs. And so I don't think it was a big hit with the public. But yeah, the green smell, that's neat. I think I like it more. Of course, I did just finish with a Seville cologne and the diamond, and so my nose is used to smelling certain things, and I'm probably missing some of the notes of the Tuesday because of that. But that's really decent. That is kind of wearable. I'll have to play around with it. Put it on my wrist, and that way it's not always on my face. All right, guys, I think we will. I'm going to clean up a little bit, rinse out my brush, give you guys a chance to post any comments if you want. I thought this might be a short video, but it's actually turned out to be a longer one. So one of the challenges of today in the Lather games is to a part of the Sugar Daddy challenge was to pay me a little bit of honor and tribute, and I sure do appreciate that. I'm definitely honored. And the second part is to do a den tour, because they cited in kind of the header of the thread when they talked about the challenge, they pointed back to my video where I went through all my soaps, and it took about 53 minutes to do it because I had so many at the time. Well, the thing is, I'd like to do that today, but I'm in a different situation. I'm renting a room somewhere else, and that's where I've got all my newer stuff. Right here is where I've got my dedicated tubs of my favorite artisans, like Barrister and Mann, Sterling, Noble Otter, Mickey Lee Soapworks, Storybook, Reef Point Soaps discontinued, Southern Witchcrafts. They all had. I had enough of those. Declaration Grooming. I had enough product from those guys to where I wanted to have a dedicated tub of it, and that's what I have here at this location. And so, giving you guys a tour of that would be identical to the one from last year. But I've got some hardware and blades and stuff that maybe I'll think about it and see if there's a way I could put something together. But I just don't have too much gear over here, because after all, this was a surprise. I didn't know this was coming, and so I could have done a video ahead of time with all my newer stuff where I am at the other place at the Room for Rent. And so I'll try to do something. All right, and so that'll just be attached to my post if I'm able to do it over on Reddit. All right, guys, very cool. Let's see what we have. GD, welcome. I'm afraid, sir, you are a little bit late to the party. I remember having some good conversations with you on YouTube. Nice to see you here. We're about to shut her on down, and so You'll be able to catch everything on the replay though. Once YouTube puts it on the stream out there in the universe. Yeah. It is difficult to get the collection together. I've been wanting to do one of the things if I'd have known this was coming, what I would have done is gather up all of my vintage razors, because I'd love to have all those in one place. Hey, now, if you guys are curious about some razors, there's a guy on the wet shaving subreddit. His username is rchewbacca, and he, just the letter R and then Chewbacca. And he has done a series, maybe once a month or something. He's has a big collection of vintage Gillettes, Aristocrats, and just a much larger collection than I have. And so if you want to see a lot of that, go look up his username and look for those. And I bet you'll enjoy seeing what his stuff looks like. He's got the cases. I'm more of a user collector, where I bring stuff in and I use it. If it ends up something that I'm not going to use very much, I usually send it on. Or if it doesn't play well with my face, I'll send it on usually. Whereas he is more of a true collector. And so he's got some really cool, historical, neat stuff. Yeah, boy, it would be tricky to bring in the full collection. Whew, boy, I'd have to have things a lot more organized. My room for rent, everything is just stuffed in weird places. It would be really hard to do that. That's for sure. All right, guys, I think we'll wrap it up. For those of you who didn't get to see, I did etch my blade, and if I make the light reflect a certain way, you should see an N up here and a 1 down here, crudely made perhaps. And with other cameras, I was able to make that happen, but I didn't want to etch it very hard because it would warp the blade, and I didn't want that to happen on such a prized possession. He says about a razor blade. How about that? That's the little hobby we're into, right? All right, well, I think we're good to go. Thank you guys so much for joining me. It has been a pleasure. All the best to you and yours. This is Sugar Daddy Shaves, and I hope there's been something good in this video to help you out with your journey. If there are any more comments, wait until this video goes on the YouTube part where the archive of the replay area, I guess, maybe what it's called, and you can post comments there, and I'll be able to see them there. All right, guys, I think I'll shut down the old stream. KG, Peter, GD, Tonosama, thank you so much for joining. Refined Edge, all you guys, it's been terrific. And thank you, Peter. Yeah, the etching video, I took that in macro mode, and that was fun. Bye for now.